Hey folks, how's it going? Hope everybody's doing good. Sorry for this late post. Um I had posted something on the Facebook page about the History Channel on their season 19 episode 20 talking about the top 10 petroglyphs um in the world that they picked that were very interesting, very intriguing to them enough to put them on the top 10 list for the History Channel on episode 20. And number 10 was Winnemucca Lake. And I thought that was kind of peculiar because I didn't know there was petroglyphs at Winnemucca Lake. I just knew that there was just Pyramid Lake and they had found skeletons that were 10 to 12,000 years old, which was really interesting because we're not talking about, you know, 100 years, 200 years, 500 years. We're talking about thousands, 10 to 12,000-year-old bones. And for anybody who has not seen any of the episodes that I've done on the red-headed giants that have been discovered throughout North America and some of the uh, anomalies associated with these giants of old that have been discovered throughout America, not just in the West, all over. We're talking about off of California, in California, here in Nevada, vast amounts of evidence of uh, giants, um, or I mean, I've never seen one here, but I mean, I've caught evidence in Lovelock Cave. I'm gonna see if I can't pull that up. I know I've shared that before from my Facebook page, where my wife and family um, had actually gone to Lovelock Caves a few times, and we were able um, to do some hiking around in the area. We went just behind the caves. There's a trail system that they have there where you can walk in the back and it winds around and it goes back to the parking lot, just like a way of looking around and checking out the area. But when you get to Lovelock Caves, you can actually climb up on top. Let me see. Like I said, I have the posts. Let me check it out and then I'll share it here. But we had did some walking, and this is the second time. The first time I did it, I actually went with um, my son and my nephew who were with me, and I was like, "Hey, dude, let's go check this out real quick. I just want to see something." Something was just telling me go back there, so I did. So we walked up behind the caves, and we got to this cliff face that dropped off of the little mountain that was there, peak, and inside was an opening that went into the hillside, and it opened up, but there were crevice or openings, little like slots, like you would dig out and you would place something inside, lined up inside of the hole. And from that hole, I shit you not, were bare feet going down the mountainside that were like bigger than 15 feet, because my nephew wears a size 15, and he's 18, 19 years old. And there's, like I said, there's video of us placing his feet next to the bare feet that we seen, and it's about a good 2 3 feet bigger than his. And why somebody would be walking around out there barefooted, I have no idea. Why somebody would be hoaxing something like this would be beyond me, because there's no purpose to it. There's no reason for somebody to be like, oh, well, somebody might walk back here, 2 miles from the cave entrance, hiking out here in the middle of nowhere where there's rattlesnakes and whatnot, and place these bare footprints out there. So anyway, um, I took video of it. I took some pictures, um, and I got a lot of responses from it because, um, as I said, it was just something that intrigued me enough that I was like, let me go check this out. So going back to the History Channel with them putting in this episode 20 on season 19, as I said, I don't know if anybody's seen it. I don't know if anybody's looked into it, but it is something that has been discredited for a long time. And historically, when you look back at the records of witnesses and people who have um, looked into this stuff and documented it, Sarah Winnemucca, who was the chief of the Paiute tribe here in Winnemucca, is what the town's named after. In the book she wrote, she talks about the red-headed giants and them actually fighting them and the things that were going on in the area because we're about an hour 45, I believe, from Lovelock, or about 45 minutes, 50 minutes away from Lovelock. And then the caves are about another 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes from there. Um, but she described exactly what they saw. I'm just going through the pictures real quick. I want to make sure that it's in here. Um, let's see. Yeah, we can get that. And what really baffled me, yeah, I found it, so I'll put it on here. Um, what really baffled me was the fact that the discrediting of this evidence, okay, by um, the Smithsonian Institute, by these institutions. Jesus, I don't know why it's so hard to talk today. But these institutions are saying, "Oh, that is false. There were never ever any skeletons that were brought up that had enormous skulls, or you know, that were more than normal stature for um, the Native Americans who were in the area at the time." And we can discredit all of that. There are people on video who have sworn that when they went to the local museum, whose Humboldt Museum is here in town, they had these bones and these skulls on display. There's a picture of it. I'm about to show it as soon as I get done showing you guys this video and these pictures that I have. They got rid of it. The skulls and everything just magically disappeared. And there is now a notice inside of the museum stating that there were never any red-headed giant bones displayed. There were never any red giant bones discovered and associated with the museum. And at the bottom of it, I'm gonna have to get one when I go. It says, uh, note by the curator or somebody, and then it says something about the Smithsonian Institute. What a coincidence, right? But um, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at these videos, making sure that I got everything going here. Um, there's just a video of the inside of the cave and the walk up. I have some pictures on top of the cave, looking down. This cave system is built or made so intricately that you have to come up to the face. If anybody who is a military strategist, or anybody who is a veteran and knows anything about fortifications of defenses, you know that you want to have the high ground. Why? Because your enemies, or anybody that's going to be stupid enough to try and get into your compound, your area of defense, has to come up to you. So if you can look down on them, there's no way that they're going to freaking be able to get into your fortification, because you just have the advantage of looking down at them versus them looking up at you and trying to do whatever they can to get up to you. When you're there, all you got to do is just roll big ass rocks, chuck spears, do whatever you can to just knock them down and keep them from getting in to your defense system. Sorry, my I got injections in my hip, and it's just really hard to try and sit here. I got to get a darn pillow or something for my derriere so that way my back. But it makes it kind of irritating when not only do you have word of mouth from the local tribes who have been there for thousands of years, you also have outside sources who are very credible, who have evidence, who talk to other local tribe members that aren't even in this area and say, yes, we've dealt with those same things too. We have word of mouth from tribes that talk to us and tell us, hey, we fought and had to destroy or run out these red-headed giants that we were having issues with because they were stealing. I mean, imagine you've got a family or a tribe of red-headed giants within the area. Not only are they going to be destructive to your wildlife, to your food sources, but they were also known for being cannibals. They were snatching people up and eating them. Now, this is a story, like I said, that was passed down from the Paiute tribe, but this is Native Americans across the U.S., South America, Mexico, um, in the Middle East, that describe these same giants. And it states by not just academics who have researched this in different universities and different societies that have looked into these things, but it's also told in the Bible that in the time of Noah, there were giants. And we know that there were Nephilim on the earth before the flood, and that God decided that the wickedness that was on the earth because of what was being done with genetics, and they were altering human DNA, and these fallen angels were coming down to earth and mating with these women because they were lusting after them because they were beautiful, and they were like, hey, we're going to take unto ourselves these women and do what we want with them. Now the offspring that came from them were the Nephilim. And if you know anything about the Nephilim, they were giants. They were creatures and men of renown. They were known for their intellect because they had the knowledge of master building. They gave men the knowledge of weaponry, sorcery, being able to do things that they should not have been able to do. But not only that, they were mating with these women on earth as well. So not only do you have these extraterrestrial beings that have come down to earth and mated with these women by placing their DNA inside of them and altering it, or genetically modifying this human DNA of these sapiens that were on earth and corrupting the seed of man. I guess if you want to get into biblical terms about it. But this is documented long, long ago. And for people to come in and say, "Oh, well, this is a lie. This is all just bullshit. People are just tripping out. It's nothing. It's just somebody who had abnormal features that was 7 to 8 feet tall, and was just he was a just a what you would call a defect of DNA." It baffles me. And my wife and I sat up last night and we were talking about this. We were just like, it makes it look so stupid when people try and refute it. Yes, if you don't believe in that kind of stuff, that's fine. But the evidence to back up that, not only just from what people see, as we're seeing across the world, people putting up videos on YouTube and TikTok of these giant creatures that are up on top of these hillsides, that are in these caves in Mexico, that are in Peru, in Europe, in the Middle East. They're finding these giants. But it says this, that in the Gnostic Gospels and ancient texts, especially uh, in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and I know I keep going back to this, But it speaks about when the time of the flood, that not all the creatures and all of the living giants that were on the earth at that time that they were trying to to destroy were destroyed, that they hid deep in the earth. And we know that there are in fact deep cavernous caves and system ways that people have lived in. And we see this in Turkey, of the mass caverns that they found where people had been living that had air vent systems. They were cooking down there, they were taking baths, they had places of worship, they had places of sleeping and holding their cattle and their sustenance that they needed to store there, that was able to hold them for years. And they were saying thousands and thousands of people could have lived there. So you're going to tell me that a sapien, Homo sapien, was able to construct something deep into the earth. And we know for a fact that there were creatures and beings that were on this earth, that were living here, that were smart enough to give man the knowledge of magic, weapons, um, uh, of making food and doing things that they weren't able to do, and give them this knowledge. We're not able to sit here and say, hey, there's a fucking flood coming. I think I better go into the earth. I better find somewhere to hide. Because we know in ancient texts, and as I said, in old Sumerian tablet writings and in the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Atrahashish, I believe is what it's called. If I slaughtered that, I'm sorry. It says that these beings were going to return again in the new days. They were going to reveal themselves. And it's not just the giants, it's these creatures that have been hiding in the earth, in these cave systems, and they're going to show themselves at the time of, like it says, when it was in the time of Noah, where it becomes, starts becoming so corrupted that we're killing the earth, we're killing each other, we're at a means of destruction, where it's that time where it's going to say, okay, well, now we've got to put things into right. Now we've got to make things happen because this stuff is getting too ridiculous. Thanks, Amanda. I appreciate you commenting on here. See, this is cool. I like being able to like converse and talk with everybody about everything that we discuss on on the podcast, and it's great because it allows us to be able to sit here and get everybody's ideas and talk and discuss with them. And that's just the thing is that things are passed down. If it's not written on rock, it's written on some form of paper or passed down through word of mouth. And as I said, there are both. There are many carvings. Well, I would say this. The true version is this. It's not going based on what is, if the Bible or the Emerald Tablets or whatever, who, John Smith or somebody wrote something of an account of what was true. We know for a fact that there were things that came to this earth that this stuff took place. The evidence of it is so vast to be able to say, okay, well, this goes hand in hand with this. And yes, you can sit here and say, okay, well, for instance, give you another example. Early 2000s when we were in Iraq, and these soldiers were given um, an order to go to this village that was high in Afghanistan, right? This special unit that was ordered to go there did not return back or did not check into its checkpoint. So home base was like, hey, these guys haven't checked in yet. They kept trying, and kept trying to get a hold of him, and they couldn't. Now they couldn't send any planes or anything or any helicopters into that specific area because it was too dangerous. It was a hot point. So what they did is they got another team together and they set them out there to go try and look for them. Now the team starts getting closer to their last known location and gets to the next checkpoint and starts finding pieces of this team's debris, radios, flak vests, backpacks, weapons. And as they keep going up further, now, like I said, this is documented. This has already been, whistleblowers have come out and said this shit has happened. We've seen this. I was there. They get to the cave system. As they start getting to the cave system, they start noticing this really bad, nasty stench coming out of the cave system. And they start seeing this blood and these body part remains and these bones outside in the cave system. Now, when they start getting closer, the one thing they said was an 8 to 10 foot creature, this man that was wearing this old, look like canvas type uh, garb around him and his feet with long red hair started attacking him. He had a big giant pike, a big spear, and he started killing them, started goring the guys that were there, and the team started just firing on him. Boom, 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 engaging this giant. Now the one of the sergeants that was there was saying that he was sitting here watching his teammates getting slaughtered by this thing, and he told them, direct your fire at his face. So they started shooting him in the face, and they noticed it was having an effect, and finally they were able to eliminate this threat. They called back into headquarters and said, hey, you guys are not going to believe this. We need to get a special unit out here because we got to get this thing back. They were ordered to bring it back, get it to a safe location where they could get it picked up, and they had it transferred back to Bagram Air Force Base. And as I'll show the video, I'll find it, of one of the guys that was a whistleblower that was there that took pictures and drew everything. He was a part of the load team that picked up this giant from Bagram Air Force Base, um, and said that the dunnage was about, I think he said it was like 12 to 13 feet long. And dunnage are these big railroad ties that they get and they place their pallets on there so that way they can get underneath it and pick it up and load it. And he describes seeing this being, and he was saying it was laying down in a prone position on its side, curled up in a fetal position, but it was so big that he was hanging off of the dunnage that they had there. So the evidence I mean, we've got eyewitness accounts of these beings in Greek mythology all the way down to present day. So we know that these beings and these creatures were real. Now, whether you take the information from the Bible, from the Emerald tablets, from the Sumerian tablets, from the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Etra Hashish, um, and the King's List, and not only that, you have it depicted on petroglyphs in Egypt, in Samaria, on tablets, on papyrus, here in the United States. You have it in ancient cities in Turkey, Göbekli Tepe, in Easter Island, with the giant heads that are there. These big old giant figurines. Why would they even make those? What the hell is the purpose? But everywhere you go, you see these things, and just like I talked about in the last episode, about the sailors from Africa that came here and they had these giant um, Olmec heads. They were facing out to the ocean. Now, what is happening with these statues in Easter Island? The same thing. They're facing in a direction of where they came from. Right. And it goes back into saying, not just the word of mouth, but just with the evidence that we've know from ancient times. And it's not just people making up these mythical creatures and saying, "Oh, well, I'm going to throw in this giant and make this story more credible." There's witness accounts of people and from things that because they know they were cannibals of seeing this stuff and eliminating these creatures because they were a threat to the people that were around them. So they wrote and documented this stuff down. And as a lot of people in the Native Americans say, this isn't just something that we just were making up. They documented this stuff in petroglyphs and in paper and word of mouth and oral history because they wanted this is what they saw. It wasn't just something to make up or saying it was a myth or that it was a tale to warn people about things that could happen. It's like talking about the boogeyman. Um, so the discrediting of the evidence by these institutes and these scholars in these high places, of course you're not going to want to have somebody talking about something that would discredit everything that we know of in history. Mythical creatures, giants, extraterrestrials, technology, evidence of passing down of the knowledge from these creatures, these beings, these giants, these extraterrestrials, and having this technology. Why would you want somebody to know that there's something that's out there and it being shared with everybody that would totally refute the narrative that these institutions have been telling us this whole time? So, what better way to do it? Just like they do everything, erase it and get rid of the history. Make people look like they're dumb. And that's exactly what happened. So, I'm going to get into this right now. I'm going to try and get this thing. Ah, come on. Internet's working kind of so. Give me a second. That's not what I wanted. All right. Let me see. All right, let's see if this works. Yay! Bum, bum, bum. It works. It works. All right, cool. So, right here, this is the entrance of Lovelock Cave. From what you're seeing when you look down, or I'm sorry, when you're looking up to the cave system and you're coming in from uh, uh, this trail here, because the trail itself goes all the way around this edge here. You walk all the way up, and you have the cave entrance, and then you have a walkway that goes all the way down to where you're seeing us standing right here. Now, look at this cave system. When you go inside of this cave, and I didn't get pictures of going inside because it was just really dusty because we were walking around inside of it. But next time we go, we're going to be doing an overnighter. Um, the how can I put this? The system itself. All right, there we go. That works. The system itself, when you walk inside, it's pretty big. But you have to remember that when they went in there, they did a lot of excavations. There are things that are in that ground that is underneath it. The reason why I say this is number one, when you walk into the cave and you dig or you look into the cave system and you go to the edge of it, there are actually openings to the rest of the cave system that goes deep into the mountainside. This little piece right here that you're seeing is just an opening to a network system that is underneath here. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And I think that what they did is they just covered up whatever was inside of there and just threw a bunch of dirt, chucked a bunch of dirt inside of there the best they could to cover it up. Because as I said, when we looked, there was a network system that you could see on the edge of the system. You could shine your light in there. I even actually, what I did was I poured water to see if it would flow down there. And sure as shit, the water went into the hole and you could hear it going down. Let's see. I'm going to, let's go to the next page. Now this right here is a footprint that was in the sandstone that we found. It was about maybe about the width of my arm, my forearm. But that was an imprint that we got that was inside of the rock. And right here you can see the toes, the big toe, and then it comes down and around right here. And you have the heel of the toe, or the, sorry, the foot in the back right here. Pretty cool stuff, I think. And this was going back up to the entrance of the little system where we saw the footprints, and I'll show you that right now. So this is the opening. This is the entrance that I was talking about, and as you can see, there is a matted. It's like something's been coming in and out of there because this is all worn out. And when you walk up to it and you look at it, it's pressed down. But how weird is that, right? And I've had people tell me, "Oh, well, it's just from the water coming down the mountain and it just wore it away." No. When you look inside of here, there are openings. There's little shelves like inside. As you see right here on the outside, there's these little archways, like something was placed here. And you have this one on this side, and right there, there's a shelf inside of this little indentation. But in this hole, it opens up into the hillside, and there's slots where something was being placed by whoever. This is another view. Um, here's more of those slots on the outside. And as I said, this is just showing that trail of that mattedness. Look at that. Something was clearly treading down here. And you could vaguely see the footprints matting down whatever was walking through this area of this system. This is the top of the cave. And now I'm not able to. Sorry. No. Why won't you let me? It was letting me earlier and I'm not able to do it now, but there it goes. It's like, anyway. So this is the view from the top when you're looking down from the entrance of the cave. And as I said, this is perfect defenses. I mean, imagine. There we go. There's the left side as you're looking at it. And this is that trailing system that I was talking to you about from, going to the right as it goes down the hillside. Pretty cool stuff. Also, just before you get into the cave system, I don't know if anybody knows what's going on here. I've asked a couple of people of why this would be here in a ravine. That's about 3 miles, 3, 4 miles from the cave. I'd say 5 at the max. As you're coming to the cave and you're going down the road, I was like, as I said, something was just telling me, take a look. So I took a ride up the road. There is a ravine that goes down um, the mountainside. And then as we went and looked, this is what we found. And I mean, this hillside was just covered. And as you can see, my son, I kept telling him, I'm like, son, don't touch this crap because I don't know what's in there. And you don't want to get this stuff on your hands if you got a cut, yada, yada, yada. But as you dig, there are thousands, and I mean thousands of bones. And somebody says, oh, well, maybe it was just a rancher who came and dumped their cattle there. And I said, okay, well, then why would there be separation of rib bones, femur bones, and body parts in piles? And we found footprints. As you can see, there's a trail right here that ran right through the middle of that crevice. And we were just baffled because I couldn't explain it. I didn't see any mountain lion tracks. I didn't see any, anything showing me that it was a bunch of coyotes or dogs that were eating these things. But there was a trail system, and just like at the cave, you can see the footprint right there. This matted down piece that was here, I was trying to get other pictures of it, but it was just matted down all the way through, like it just ran down, and right behind where my son and my nephew are, it kept going, and it was just thousands and thousands of them. So here's the video. Uh, I'm sorry. So as you see it, I put this stupid thing because I just wanted people to. This is the heel of whatever was coming down the hill, right here, and you could see clearly the toe marks. And I'll play it. You guys can see because he puts his foot right next to it. And as you can see, my nephew's putting his foot down. The heel comes all the way like back here. And this is the big toe. You can see it right there. That is the entire foot. And I can't explain it. We were just baffled. Look at that. How weird is that? Yeah, really interesting. I just thought it was cool. I just wanted to share that. Um, because what we are seeing is that you can't refute the evidence. You can't dispute what has been said um, through oral presentation or through oral history or what we're seeing on petroglyphs um, by these natives and these cultures around the world. Um, it's just hard to sit here and say, okay, well, these people are lying. And trying to discredit somebody because they're trying to give history about what's been going on or what's being told to them. Sorry, I got to take my glasses off. This shine on this thing is like getting on my nerves. But a lot of times what we see is that you can't dispute it. And I know in the Philippines, hold on real quick. I'm going to check this out, but um let me see if I can. I'm trying to open up this tab and show you the skulls that were brought out of the Lovelock cave that they had found, and they were on display. Um, they weren't disputing the fact that they had them, but for some reason, and I will say this, I'm guessing that it was due to the funding that they were getting from the Smithsonian and these other institutes, that they were probably telling them, "Hey, look, you need to get this shit off of your shelves and stop telling people what these things are because this is getting out of hand, and we can't have that." So here it is, right here. These are these skulls. These are the skulls that were on display at the museum and were removed. Now, saying that, these are just a couple of them. These are just a couple of the skulls that were found. Now, these skulls were massive, and it shows some of the, as it said, the Native Americans talk about what happened. They trapped the giants in the cave, set the cave on fire, and were killing them as they were coming out, whichever ones were coming out. But the ones that were left inside that burned to death after they had killed the ones that were trying to escape, they mutilated them. They drug them out, had them on display, and were pretty much like, celebrating because they were like, we murdered them. We killed them. And these were the skulls that as I said, they ended up taking them out of display, and they've never been seen again. But people by word of mouth that live in the area that were able to see the skulls on display were like, yeah, I mean, these things were huge. We seen them, we touched them, we were able to look at them, and they just disappeared and were never seen again, which is really sad when you think about it. Because I mean, for this to be something that is historically, you know, relevant to this area, and being able to say, wow, we did have this stuff in our area and these people lived here. This is something that needs to be looked at. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, and it makes you think, why? What is the reasoning um, for covering this up? There was also another recent discovery of a giant skeleton intact that was found inside of a Filipino cave system. Here we are again with the cave system. I'm going to see if I can't find the pictures. It's going to a bunch of stuff, and I don't want to see all this nonsense. They might have even taken this down. Doo, doo, doo. Yeah, but like I said, I appreciate you guys coming along and being a part of this podcast, because this is what we want. This is what we want to do, is share this information and get it out there, because a lot of people know about this stuff, or if they do know, it's not a lot of information that they're being given, because as I said, it's just one of those things that just touches a subject with these institutes, um, and they don't want to have people going, oh, okay, well, this is true, um, because if we can refute their Darwinism, because you got to remember, Darwin is one of the founding members of the Smithsonian Institute. When he got a hold of them, he was telling them, "This is what we're going to do. This is what we're not going to do. We're going to start." If you look into that, I mean, that's another rabbit hole that, if you want to go down it, by all means, do so. It's worth doing because if you're looking into getting into this kind of stuff and you're trying to get evidence of what you're talking about, understand that you're going to be coming up against a lot of things that people just do not want to um have getting out. So I'm going to share with you this picture. All right. So here we are. Scientists in the Philippines have found this giant skeleton that looks to be up to 15 feet tall. It looks like it was killed by a giant anaconda or a boa, and it died there in the system. Now, it's one of many that they have found in the area. But it looks like this one, I don't know what the story is, but the poor bastard was probably asleep. The snake probably crawled into his cave system and it, it just took him out. But in the cave system itself, you have artwork and petroglyphs that are in the system on the walls. Now, as I said before, the cave systems, we are seeing the relevance of these cave systems because these creatures, and I won't even say they're creatures, they're giants, all right, giant humanoids that were hiding in these systems. And we know that these systems aren't just something that's like, oh, well, it's just a little dome that's inside of the cave, just a thing, but it goes in to the earth. Are these networks leading to something? Do they go somewhere else? Are they connected to a bigger, larger network that we do not know about? Is it something else that they're trying to hide from us? Possibly. Possibly. If you know anything about Emery Smith, he is a whistleblower who has worked for the secret space program for years now. Um, if you don't know who he is, check him out. He is on the Gaia channel. Um, he works on their undisclosed um, episodes, and he runs that. And he talks about being on these teams that have gone into these vast cavernous networks. I'm gonna see if I can find a video of it. You could see it for yourself. All right, let's see if I can get this. But this is just something. This is going into um, what you were asking about, Amanda, was um, the vast evidence of what we get from hearing what people say and going, okay, well, can we trust these people? Is this credible? Emery Smith, after watching Iceberg, Emery Smith, after I really see. I'm sorry. I'm looking at your chat here, and it's. I got to go back and look at it. Yeah, it's insane. And thank you. I appreciate you. I try to get as much evidence out there as I can with what I've researched and what I've looked into, so that way I could pass it on to everybody. And I mean, you and I have talked and we've discussed a lot of stuff, about things that we look into and that we've delved into. So yeah, I mean, uh, right, Nephilim. So if you're talking about the video, it you can find them all over. Um, Let me see. Now, was the creature just it was on a snowy bank you're talking about, and it was just walking across my brain is just going like in a million places right now, but it was just walking across the crest of the mountain and then it disappeared. And I think there was another one that ended up showing there was like a couple of them that were there. But I'm gonna see if I can pull this up. There's a lot of videos right now of people reposting and reposting of what they saw. So I'm gonna see if I can pull that. I just don't like watching other people do this, but here's one. I'll share with you. I'm sorry. It might be what? I do not care about that. It might be my internet because of what, let me see if I drop the resolution down. I don't know if I can now. Let's see if that helps. Is that okay? Does that look all right? Are you guys getting it through now? Let me take this logo off so I can see your comments. There it is. All right. I found a video. Let me see if I can get it here real quick. And this is just one of many. This is in Mexico of a man who happened to see this being just, doing his thing on top of a mountaintop. Check it out.
Yo veo un gigante ahí arriba. ¿Qué será?
How crazy is that?
Se mueve, se mueve.
I mean, I don't understand how people could sit here and say, "Oh, well, that's not true. It's fake." When you have multiple accounts of this, not even in the same region. It's like he's stretching, like he's, uh, you know, let me look out on the city and drink my coffee out of this skull cap. It's like, wow, insane, insane. And there are others. Is that it? Is that the one you're talking about? Awesome. Right on. Well, that's what I mean. It's there are others. There's plenty of others. Um, Let me see if I can find another. There was another one of this guy who happened to see a giant on a mountaintop. He disappeared. There's a whole thing about that. I'm not sure how true that is. If it is true, in Jasper National Park in Alberta, Canada, Andrew Dawson is his name. I guess he ended up disappearing after he posted it. Here is another one in Laos. Let's check this one out. This one's really cool. And the people are just like sitting there and they're freaking out, boy. All right, let's check this one out together. See what you guys think. Here we go. Ready? Let's check it out. can see it back here. There's other versions of it where you can see it clearer, but it disappears. How crazy is that, right? Let me see if I could find this other one, but, um, as I said, Emery Smith talks about, um ooh, let me get that one off. Alright, um, this is Emery Smith, talking to David Wilcox. If you do not know who David Wilcox, he's another person who has been working with disclosure of all of this stuff and talking to whistleblowers, and Emery Smith was a whistleblower with him. Right, and I can get and understand where people are saying, "Well, how can you say that this stuff is true? Or how can it be faked in a way that people can see it or believe it?" This is going on with what we are now seeing from these whistleblowers are saying, uh, "Don't believe every evidence that you see because it's gonna be hard to, validate from the fake and what's not real, from what's real and what's not." Now, having said that, if we know that there are things in this planet, on this earth, in the earth, in our solar system that was documented or told to us by these ancestors that were scribed on rocks and scribed on parchment paper and animal skins. As I said before in another episode, with the discrediting of the information to make them look like hoaxes or make the people who are talking about it look like, oh, well, they were probably just talking in general about, people or things that were just, they were abnormally larger, but they were humans. Right. Everybody is talking about everything. All this stuff is coming out. It's really hard for people to sit here and dispute it now because you have that information of technology. Now the only way that they can discredit that is by saying you're a what? A theorist with the C at the front. I hate that word. I hate it because we are now seeing that the CIA is releasing this information to the public. Nobody thinks about this stuff. The FBI, the CIA, and the government have websites where they can disclose this information, but nobody looks it up. There is disclosed information that the CIA says, yes, this stuff is happening. It is proof. There are things that are out there that we can't explain, but nobody wants to look into that when you're hearing it come straight from the mouth of these credited agencies as the CIA, because we know that the CIA has gotten into some stuff that they have tried to hide for years. I mean, Christ Almighty, look at Tartaria. You have a whole history network of system of people and information and technology. We're not talking about thousands and thousands of years ago. We're talking about hundreds. 100 to 200 years ago, they completely erased this era of civilization and discredited anybody about that was bringing it out and talking about it. Now here we are, 2024, and you've got the evidence from the mouth of the CIA with these documents, as I did in one of the episodes, saying, yes, we did work with other agencies and governments to hide and discredit those who were trying to uncover this. But yes, Tartaria existed and it was all over. It expanded not just from Europe and Asia, but to the United States here in our land. So if they can do that, it has to make you think and and go, okay, if they're hiding this, what the hell else are they trying to lie to us that's real? That's where I'm coming from with this. As you start gathering evidence and you start looking at things, because as I said, I know there's going to be people that are like, okay, well, this guy's just another conspiracy theorist, as I hate that word, or, he's just poking at straws here. This is nothing new, yada, yada, yada. It's been blown out of the water. But you look at what we're seeing based on what was said in ancient times and you put them together. We know that there was giants on the land. They were killing it. They were cannibals. They were raping women. They were having offspring that were men of renown, that were these great builders. They were these master uh, uh, weapon makers and men of knowledge, which is why you see these giant structures, in Peru and Mexico and in Asia, the Great Wall of China and the Mediterranean. We know that the Phoenicians in one of the islands, the Cretes, they talked about what? A cyclops. Now we know that these cyclops, these giants, were master builders. And the Phoenicians and the islands of Crete and Greece, you have these people. Um, I don't know if anybody has looked into Gen 6 Productions and Steve Alberno. He has done a lot of research into this as well, but he does it on the aspect from a Christian biblical aspect of what is going on. And the narrative of what was being told us in the Bible, with things like David and Goliath. Um, but he's putting the two and two together. Oh, I thank you. Appreciate you for like I said, I'm interested in this stuff, and I was always talking about a lot of this stuff, and like I said, I made this podcast because I wanted people to be able to reach out and say, "Fudge, I'm not the only one who thinks like this or is interested in this stuff," and I don't have people that are looking at me like you're a fucking weirdo, because I would have people like, "Dude, get out of here, man, with that crap. I don't want to hear it anymore." So I put this podcast together to put this information out there and reach out to other people. Um, I want people to feel comfortable with discussing it, the information that they have or topics that they want to talk about. Where I don't care what it is, but it's the unknown that has driven me, because it's like this stuff does not jive. It's not adding up. There's got to be more to the story. There has to be. And the more you dive deep into it and the more you look into it, it's like, holy crap. As a matter of fact, I have his book right here. Right here. Holy crap. Unearthing the Lost World of the Cloud Eaters. I have read this book like 4 times. I've given it to my daughter. Comparing evidence of the incursions of giants, their extraordinary technology, and imminent return. Dr. Stephen Quayle and Dr. Thomas Horn, along with, where is he at? I'm trying to do this. There he is. Steve Alberno. Great guy. Very knowledgeable. And this goes back, I mean, this goes into everything, to the Native Americans, to Europe and the sacred mountains, and why the Vatican bought up a large piece of land in 4 Points to build a gigantic telescope, one of the biggest in the world, to do research not only for extraterrestrial life, but because that area was sacred to the tribes. Now, in their video that they did, because they also did a documentary along with this book, they go, the Vatican welcome. They're telling me, yeah, if you guys want to come and check it out, you can check it out. We'll take you on a tour. As they're doing a tour of the facility, somebody's sitting at the computer, and it's on the documentary. They go, oh, there's another one. like it's just nothing. They see these anomalies, these extraterrestrials, these unidentified flying objects that they're seeing on the computers through this lens on this gigantic telescope. Now, what's crazy is that, like I said, it is owned by the Vatican. It is owned by the Catholic Church. They decided to name this telescope Lucifer. What the heck? I don't understand it. It is what it is, but like I said, that's a whole nother subject for me getting into the whole side of religion and them adapting from pagan cultures and beliefs. So, yeah, that's just another tidbit. I really highly recommend that you go check it out. It's Gen 6 Productions. Um, the book is called Unearthing the Cloud Eaters. If you didn't get a chance to see it, I'll show it to you one more time. Great book. I really highly recommend you read it. I've read it multiple times. The information that comes out of there, they focus on the cliff dwellers and the Native American tribes in the area that speak of these beings, not giants, just giants in general, but these reptilian races that were coming through these portals, and we're giving them knowledge and information on witchcraft of how to summon these beings to be able to come through from where they come from. And they just started slaughtering and massacring these people, which caused them to drive themselves up into these cliffs and build these if you've ever seen them, they built their homes into the side of the cliff. And the reason for them doing that was because it was a defensive. They were trying to um, saved themselves from these things that were lying and had deceived them and told them, well, we're coming here to help you. And they gave them knowledge. They gave them the tools to be able to open these portals and these gateways to these other dimensions, not just dimensions, but these other places in the solar system. And they documented it in these petroglyphs as well as the oral tradition, as I said. But these things turned on them. These giants were brought out of the ground, were summoned out of the earth, and started attacking them and killing them. So they were driven into the cliffs. And we now know that people are saying, well, they just disappeared. But why would you leave everything that you have, food, resources, your things for everyday life that you were going to take with you, and just leave it if they were just moving to another area? You would want to take that stuff. I mean, you have weapons that were just left there. Food still, grain in potteries and in vases that they just left in the area. But anyway, I'm getting off and going on this big rant and talking about it. But I thank you guys, for the support and you guys being along, on this journey. It really makes it worthwhile, and I appreciate you guys doing that and being here. And the information that gets passed on to other people, and then the more people get into it and they look and they do their own research, that's where it comes down to, is like I said, seeking the unknown. Knowledge is power. The more knowledge that you have, and you take more knowledge, you become more knowledgeable, because this right here, your mind is so powerful and is able to store so much more information. And we as human beings were created, but the essence of what we are is so much more vast than what we allow ourselves to be. And the one thing that I always take away from when I look in and I do research on these people is what a lot of people say is that in the Emerald Tablets is that Thoth talks about knowledge. He was the bringer of wisdom and knowledge and teaching people, but he also demanded that people do their own research, gather and seek that information, because it's only going to make you what? More smarter. The more information you're able to retain and study, the better off you're going to be. because you see people like Plato, Socrates, Leonardo da Vinci, the men, of the Renaissance were knowledgeable people. They didn't just go, "Oh yeah, well that's cool. That's nice. I'm just gonna." Okay. Why is it not? Oh, there it goes. All right, so this is Emery Smith. I'm gonna try and play this video here, and you guys can listen to him talk about him. But he also, like I said, he goes and talks about a lot of this stuff as well that I'm touching on. What in the world is going on with this darn computer? This thing. Yeah, my internet is acting up, and it always does. It always throws me for a loop. Good God. I do really, really miss. Like, I'm sorry. Uh, we're getting a lot of disturbance. It seems like something's shutting my system down. Now what the heck? Play. All right. Well, I guess that's not going to work. Anyway, there is Emery Smith, David Wilcox. You have Billy Carson, Greg Braden. You have uh, oh, like I said, Dr. Stephen Quayle and Dr. Thomas Horn discuss it, but it's more on a biblical nature of, you know, this is because of what happened, and they use the Bible as their resource of disseminating or falling back on. Steve Quayle, or yeah, Stephen Quayle, Dr. Thomas Horn, and I want to find his name because I don't like. Uh, Steve Alberno, I believe his name is. Um, but you have Dr. Stephen Greer, who I wholeheartedly pray that this guy is protected with uh with Secret Service or something, because this man has done so much since the early 90s to bring disclosure to um the masses and trying to get this information released. He has released um so many. He has a few documentaries out that he has done. This is just one of them. And as I said, he was the first one that I looked into that got my mind going again, because I was like, there's got to be more to this. And when I seen his movies, his documentaries, boy, him for doing what he has done. I don't want to do that. What are you doing? Yeah, this internet is something else. It seems every time I'm trying to do something or put something out there and put it together, it's like, oops, well, issues. People are saying, oh, well, your internet's lagging and it's not coming through right. And then, as I said, I'm trying to sit here and play videos, and it's not going to let me. All right. Anyway, yeah, yeah, it's lagging pretty bad. So let me share this, and then you guys can watch the For the Unearthed book. Uh, sure, who else I might have been talking about or had put out. Well, Emery Smith, few people. There's so many other people. This is so weird. Anyway, hopefully you guys can see it. Check it out.
You hide in plain sight. There became this bifurcation, this separation between legitimate national security and military operations and the deep black programs that are unacknowledged. People set up a
I'm gonna go
false
right back
flag
to this
operation.
real
All
quick
false information. They have people in it
because
media to change
what
and
are we
affect
seeing?
stories. If you tell anyone about it, has
We
your
are
name on
seeing
it, and it
this
will find
happen
you.
First
now.
the Russians put down,
This
then
is
terrorists
happening
identified, then third world country create. The last part is the aliens.
as we speak. Everything that they've just said is fold before our eyes. Seeing it. Hold on. So what she's gonna say. Um. So as I said before, I mean, there is so much more to this that if people wanted to find out this information, just had to reload. Had to reload the system here real quick because it was just getting on my nerves. Um, we are, as I said, we are seeing um, the stages, as they said, from these whistleblowers and these government people that there's going to be a way for them to do exactly what they've been trying to do for a long time, which is to dissuade people from finding the truth with false evidence, with false information, to lead them away from the truth. But as you see, Dr. Stephen Greer has been working diligently to make sure that people understand what is really happening. And it's really hard for some people, because now we know that the government um, is able to reverse engineer or has been able to reverse engineer these UFO technologies or these extraterrestrial technologies. And they've lied and hid so much from us that um, now you have this seed of, well, what's real and what's not, and discrediting credible evidence um, from what people are trying to share and get out there with, to everybody else. So the giants that we have seen through the evidence and just culminations of videos and word of mouth and ancient oral history of saying that these creatures and these beings just went into hiding. Not all of them were destroyed. We know that a lot of them did come over here um, during that time and were able to survive. Um, whether or not people take this information and understand that it's always one of those things where it's like, okay, well, if you want to believe it, that's fine. I'm not here to sit here and shove this down your throat and tell you this is how it is. You're going to believe it. That's not what I'm here to do. What I want to do is just say, hey, here's the information. Check it out for yourself. Look into it. And if you choose to run with it and believe it, fine. But it's the knowledge and the information that I'm trying to pass on through everything that I talk about on this show. And if you find it interesting and you want to look into it and it piques your interest and that seed just starts growing and you start, looking into other things, That's what makes it worthwhile. That's what makes doing this great, because not a lot of people are able to get this information or have the ability to have somebody do this for them or talk to them about it. And as I said, this is just a place for everybody to come together and talk about this stuff. Um, and really discuss what's going on, what's out, what we're being told. Those is the helpful. um and uh I didn't get a chance to, and I should have, because I started going on a rant and rave. But everybody's like, "Oh, you should have points that you didn't." I just like to talk, man. I just want to put that information out there. But Pyramid Lake, they did find petroglyphs in Pyramid Lake that were 10 to 14 and a half thousand years old. Now, these aren't just, drawings on rocks, things that are in the sandstone rock. And it shows things of portals and astrological symbols. And not only that, but pictures of whatever these things were. Um, and as I said before, this is the same area around, a few, a few miles away from each other, but dealing with the same thing: redheaded giants and giants of the land that Native Americans have discussed, and talked about a lot. So I thought it was very interesting that we were put on the map again about, uh, giants that were in the area and on the land. And I just thought I'd share that with you guys to give you guys something to look at and check out, because this is our backyard, and we're, I'm interested in this stuff. This is something that I love talking about. And we've seen a lot of crazy crap out here. And one of these days, I'm going to be able to get out there and film whatever we can see, and what my wife has seen, and what my kids and my son has seen. Um, and hopefully we can get it and share it with you guys. But I just wanted to put this information out there and just have a discussion about it and see what you guys thought. And like I said, I'm glad that we are able to do that. Eh. So thank you guys so much for coming along and having this discussion. And if you guys have anything that you guys want to talk about, or you have anything about this subject matter that I've already talked about, hit me up on Facebook on Seeker of the Unknown, or hit me up on YouTube, Seeker of the Unknown. If you are not on there, I also have my personal page, which is Raul Samariba. You see it right there. Just look for it on Facebook, and I appreciate you guys. I don't want to subscribe or whatever, but if you can, go on there, subscribe to it, like the channel, YouTube, Facebook, and share it with your friends, share it with your family. I thank my family for sharing my stuff. They're very interested in all the stuff that I like to talk about, and I thank them for their support, and I appreciate it, because they ask me about a lot of stuff, and I'm like, trying to give them the information and give them the tidbits of, well, look at this or look into that. Because as I said, knowledge is power. If I was just, it sounds like a lot of people who just take from word of mouth, that believe in things and do their own research, and they think that this one thing is it, because they don't go outside of that realm and find that there's more to the story. And as my dad used to tell us when we were kids, and we used to sit there and try and tell him something, he'd be like, I'm going to tell you, like Paul Harvey. Now for the rest of the story. And I'm like, Dad, shut up. I'm tired of hearing this. But it's true. As I've gotten older, I've understood that there is more to what is being going on, has been going on, is going on, and will come of what we're being told. Because if you're like me and you want to know the information and you've always had this inkling of this isn't right, there's got to be something more to this. I just don't like being told this is it and that's all there is. I was raised in church. Both my parents were pastors, and my whole entire life, because to me, myself, with everything that has happened with me, it just fit with the narrative, with what I felt as I was growing. Started looking into things, and as I've gotten older, I try to share a lot of things with my kids, and I tell them, you got to understand something, that you can't just take what a person is telling you for face value. Look into it, research it for yourself. Go to the library, get books, talk to the people, go to the places and see them for yourself. Touch it, feel it, see it, experience it. Because when you do those things, it opens up a new doorway for you to say, okay, experience this stuff for myself, and I've seen what was being told to me my entire life. And that's what you need to do. Get out there, seek it, find the answers to the unknown. And if you can't find the answers per se that you've wanted or you're looking for, pick their brains. Become better at doing research. Because as I said, not everybody is able and capable of being able to do a lot of that stuff. And I am blessed that I was able to be in a family where my dad was in the military, so we were able to travel and experience cultures and experience history. And one of my things was history. I love history, boy. And for myself, being in the military and being able to travel around and experience different cultures and learning the history, it made it even more prominent in my life to keep following that path of saying, okay, I'm going to look into this stuff, because there's got to be more to this story that we don't know, that is being hidden from us, that is intentionally not being told to us. Because if we know what is really happening and we know what is out there, if people know that the boogeyman is real, it would cause mass panic. If we were to be told that, yes, these creatures are real and they've been found, we've seen them, studied them, there is ancient technology that we are in possession of. There is ancient things that the ancients had that we now know was true. We've refined this technology and we have it in our hands. There is so much, people, that is going on that we think is just myth. We think it is just a story. We think it is just something that it was told to us to just, explain an event or a timeline. But there's more to that. So I encourage you to go out and just look at this stuff, do your own research, do your own diligence, and just find it out for yourself, and touch it and feel it and experience it for yourself. And I appreciate you all for coming along on this journey. Thank you guys so much. Many blessings to everybody, and I pray that everybody has a great rest of their week. Please hit me up on Facebook or YouTube if you guys have any questions, or you have a topic or a subject that interests you that you want to share with me that we can get into and talk about. And if you want to come onto the show, hey, let me know. I'll bring you on, and you can be a guest host on here, and I'll let you know. We'll set up a date and a time, and we'll make it happen. But as I said, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you. Episode 22, we were talking about the Giants of Nevada and evidence of them in this area, and also other stuff that we were talking and getting into. So I thank you. I appreciate you guys so much, so much for supporting and giving me the opportunity to share this with you. And I pray that you have oops. I pray that you guys have a great week, and thank you again. Like, subscribe, share the channel, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Thank you so much.